We're going to pick back up in our Septuagint reading. The Old Covenant, commonly called the Old Testament, Volume 1 by Charles Thompson. We are still in Genesis and we are in chapter 31. It is written, "And Jacob heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob hath taken all that belongeth to our father, and with our father's substance he hath acquired all this glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and lo, it was not towards him as heretofore. Then the Lord said to Jacob, Return to thy father's land and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. Thereupon Jacob sent for Leah and Rachel to the field where the flocks were, and said to them, I see that the countenance of your father is not towards me as heretofore. Though the God of my father was with me, and you also know that with all my ability I have served your father. Yet your father hath dealt deceitfully with me, and at the 10 lambings hath changed my wages. But God suffered him not to hurt me. When he said, The speckled shall be thy wages, then all the cattle brought forth speckled. But when he said, The white shall be thy wages, then all the cattle brought forth white. So the Lord hath taken all the cattle of your father and given them to me. Indeed, when the flocks engendered, I beheld with my eyes in a dream, and lo, the he-goats and the rams which leaped upon the sheep and the goats were ring-streaked and spotted and ash-colored. Moreover, an angel of God said to me in a dream, Jacob. And I said, What is the matter? And he said, Lift up thy eyes and behold the he-goats and the rams which are leaping on the sheep and the goats. They are ring-streaked, speckled, and ash-colored. For I have seen that Laban is doing what Laban is doing to thee. I am the God who appeared to thee at the place of God, where thou didst anoint for me a pillar, and there thou didst make a vow. Now therefore arise and depart from this land, and go to the land of thy nativity, and I will be with thee. In reply to which Rachel and Leah said to him, Have we any more portion or an inheritance in our father's house? Are we not accounted by him as strangers? For he hath sold us and spent the money he got for us. Now since all the riches and glory which God hath taken from our father shall be ours and our children's, do then what God hath commanded thee. So Jacob arose and put his wives and his children on camels, and carried off all his substance and all the goods which he had gotten in Mesopotamia, and all that belonged to him, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Now Laban being gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's idols. And Jacob concealed his design from Laban the Syrian by not telling him that he was going away. And he departed with all that belonged to him, and crossed the river, and bent his course to Mount Gilead. But on the 3rd day news was brought to Laban the Syrian that Jacob was fled. Whereupon, taking with him his brethren, he pursued him 7 days' journey, and overtook him at Mount Gilead. But God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said to him, Take care that thou speak not evil to Jacob. Now when Laban overtook Jacob, Jacob had pitched his tent on the mount. So Laban halted his brethren at Mount Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done? Why didst thou flee away secretly, and steal off without my knowledge, and carry away my daughters as if captivated by the sword? Hadst thou told me, I might have sent thee away with joy and music, with timbrels and the cithara. But I have not been thought worthy to kiss my children and my daughters. Now therefore thou hast acted foolishly, and it is now in my power to punish thee. But the God of thy father spoke to me last night, saying, Take care that thou speak not evil to Jacob. Now grant that thou hast gone. Because thou hadst a longing desire to return thy father's house. Yet why hast thou stolen my gods? In reply to this, Jacob said to Laban, I was afraid, for I thought that thou perhaps wouldst take from me thy daughters and all that are mine. But, said Jacob, with whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. In the presence of our brethren, examine what there is of thine with me, and take it. He knew of nothing with him. Now Jacob did not know that his wife Rachel had stolen them. So when Laban had gone in and searched Leah's tent and found them not, and from Leah's tent had gone and searched the tent of Jacob and in the tent of the two handmaids, but did not find them. Then he went also to Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the idols and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them, and said to her father, Be not offended, my lord. I cannot rise before thee, for the custom of women is upon me. So when Laban had searched the whole tent, did not find the idols, Jacob was inflamed with resentment and remonstrated against Laban. And Jacob, addressing Laban, said, What is my crime and what my offense that thou hast pursued me, that thou hast searched all the goods of my house? What hast thou found of all the goods of thy house? Set it here before thy brethren and my brethren, and let them judge between us both. These 20 years that I have been with thee, thy sheep and thy goats have not cast their young, nor have I devoured the rams of thy flock. What was torn by wild beasts, I brought not to thee. I made up at my own expense the loss of what was stolen by day or by night. I have borne the sultry heat of the day and the frost of the night. Sleep departed from my eyes. I have been in thy family these 20 years. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy flock, though thou didst change my wages at the 10 lambings. Had not the God of my father Abraham and the fear of Isaac been with me, thou wouldst now have sent me away empty. God hath seen my affliction and the labor of my hands. Therefore he rebuked thee last night. In reply to this, Laban said to Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and the children are my children, and the cattle are my cattle. Even all that thou seest are mine and my daughters. What now can I do to them and their children whom they have borne? Now therefore come. Now therefore come and let us make a covenant, both I and thou, and let it be for a memorial between me and thee. And he said to him, Behold, there is none with us. God, a witness between me and thee, hath seen. Then Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. Okay, this is enough. I do not know. Ignore this person. I don't know how to stop that filth. How do I stop this, Jesus? Oh, I don't think anyone could see it. Good deal. All right. Where we at? Right over here. Then Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said to his brethren, Collect stones. And when they had collected stones and made a heap, they eat thereon. Then Laban said to him, This heap is this day a witness between me and thee. So Laban called it the heap of witness, but Jacob called it heap witness. And Laban said to Jacob, Behold this heap and this pillar which I have set between me and thee. This heap witnesseth, and this pillar witnesseth. For this cause its name was called heap witnesseth, and the site. Which said he, God would see between me and thee, because we shall be separated one from the other. If thou afflict my daughters, if thou take other wives beside my daughters, look, though there be none with us to see, God is a witness between me and thee. Moreover, Laban said to Jacob, Behold, this heap is a witness, and this pillar also, that if I pass not to thee, neither shalt thou pass to me beyond this heap and this pillar for harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nachor judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then he offered a sacrifice upon the mount and invited his brethren, and they ate and drank and slept on the mount. And in the morning Laban arose and kissed his daughters and blessed them. Chapter 32. And Laban departed and went to his place, and Jacob proceeded on his journey. And raising his eyes, he saw a camp of God pitched, and messengers of God were coming to meet him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, That is a camp of God. So he called the name of that place Camps. Now Jacob had sent messengers before him to his brother Esau to the land of Seir, to the country of Edom, and had given them a charge, saying, Thus shall you say to my lord Esau, Thus saith thy servant Jacob, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed till now. And I have got oxen and asses and sheep and men servants and maid servants. And I have sent to give notice to my lord Esau, that thy servant may find favor in thy sight. So the messengers returned to Jacob and said, We have been to thy brother Esau, and lo, he is coming to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Thereupon Jacob was greatly terrified and distressed. And he divided the people who were with him, and the cattle, and the camels, and the flocks into 2 camps. And Jacob said, If Esau come to the first camp and smite it, there will be another camp to escape. Then Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and the God of my father Isaac, thou, O Lord, who saidest to me, Return to the land of thy nativity, and I will deal well with thee. Let me be satisfied with all the kindness and with all the truth which thou hast shown to thy servant. For with this staff of mine I crossed the Jordan, but now I am become 2 camps. Deliver me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I am afraid of him. Peradventure he may come and smite me, and the mother with the children. But thou hast said, I will deal well with thee, and make thy seed like the sand of the sea, which for multitude cannot be numbered. So he halted there that night, and took presents of what he had bought, and sent to his brother Esau 200 she-goats, and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 milch camels, and their 30 colts, 40 cows, and 10 bulls, 20 asses, and 10 foals. These he delivered to his servants. Each drove by itself, and he said to his servants, Go on before me, and make a small distance between drove and drove. And he gave orders to the first, saying, If my brother Esau meet thee, and ask thee, saying, To whom dost thou belong, and whither art thou going, and whose are these before thee? Thou shalt say, They belong to thy servant Jacob, presents which he hath sent to my lord Esau, and lo, he is behind us. This charge he gave to the first, and to the second, and to the third, and to all who went before him after their droves, saying, In this manner speak to Esau when you meet him. Moreover, ye shall say, Behold, thy servant Jacob is coming behind us. For he said, I will appease him with these previous gifts, and afterwards I will look him in the face. Perhaps he will receive me favorably. So the presents went on before him. But he lay that night in the camp. And he arose in the night, and took his 2 wives with his 2 handmaids and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of Jabbok. And when he had taken and conducted them over the brook, he caused all belonging to him to cross over, and Jacob was left alone. And a man wrestled with him till the morning. And when he saw that he could not prevail against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh became numb in wrestling with him. And he said to him, Let me go, for the dawn approached. But Jacob said, I will not let thee go unless thou bless me. And he said to him, What is thy name? To which he replied, Jacob. Thereupon he said to him, Thy name shall no more be Jacob only, but Israel also shall be thy name, since thou hast been enabled to prevail with God. Therefore with men thou shalt be mighty. Then Jacob asked him, Tell me thy name. And he said, Why dost thou ask my name? Then he blessed him there, and Jacob called the name of that place Face of God. For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Now the sun was risen when he departed from the face of God, and he limped with his thigh. For this cause, even to this day, the children of Israel do not eat the sinew, which is in the hollow of the thigh, which was numbed. For he had touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh on the sinew, and it was numbed. Chapter 33, it is written, Now when Jacob looked up and saw with his eyes that, lo, Esau his brother was coming, and with him 400 men. Thereupon Jacob divided his children to Leah and Rachel and the 2 maids. And he put the 2 maids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph behind. I don't even know what to say about Jacob. And he himself went before them, and he made a low obeisance to the ground 7 times till he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell upon his neck and kissed him, and they both wept. And when Esau looked up and saw the women and the children, he said, "What? Are these thine?" To which Jacob replied, "These are the children with which God hath favored thy servant." Then the maids and their children came near and made obeisance. Next, Leah and her children came near and made obeisance. After that, Rachel came near with Joseph. And when they had made obeisance, he said, "What is the meaning of all these droves which I met?" And Jacob said, "That thy servant may find favor in the sight of thee, my lord." Whereupon Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Keep thou thine own." But Jacob replied, "If I have found favor in thy sight, receive these presents at my hands, because I have seen thy face as one would see the face of God, and wilt thou oblige me? Receive these my blessings which I have brought thee, because God hath dealt bountifully with me, and in all things to me, and is all things to me." So he pressed him, and he took them. Then he said, "Let us depart and march on straightway." But Jacob said to him, "My Lord perceiveth that the children are tender, and the sheep and cows have just had young. If therefore I overdrive them one day, all the cattle will die. Let my Lord go on before his servant, and I will recruit them on the way by a leisurely march, as fast as the young can walk, until I come to my Lord at Seir." Then Esau said, "Let me leave with thee some of the people who are with me." To which Jacob replied, "What need is there? It is sufficient that I have found favor in the sight of thee, my lord." So Esau set out that day on his return to Seir, and Jacob marched on to booths, and there built houses for himself and booths for his cattle, for which cause he called the name of that place Booths. And when Jacob came from Syrian Mesopotamia, he went to Salem, a city of the Skimites, which is in the land of Canaan, and encamped before the city, and purchased of Emor, the father of Sichem, the part of the field where he had pitched his tent for 100 lambs, and he erected there an altar, and invoked the God of Israel. Chapter 34. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob, went out to make an acquaintance with the daughters of the neighbors. And Sichem, the son of Emor, the Evite, who was the prince of the country, saw her, and took her, and lay with her, and humbled her. And having applied himself to gain the affection of Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, for he loved the virgin, and having spoken to her according to the wishes of the virgin, Sichem said to his father Emor, "Get me this young woman for a wife." Now Jacob had heard that the son of Emor had defiled his daughter Dinah, but as his sons heard with the cattle in the field, Jacob held his peace till they came. So Emor, the father of Sichem, went out to Jacob to speak to him, and Jacob's son came from the plain. And when the men heard, they were stung to the quick, and it was exceedingly painful to them that he had brought dishonor on Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, and it should not pass so. And Emor spoke to them, saying, "My son Sichem hath a passionate fondness for your daughter. Therefore give her to him for a wife, and unite yourselves to us by the ties of affinity. Give us your daughters, and take our daughters for your sons, and dwell among us. Behold, the land before you is spacious. Dwell and trade therein, and purchase possessions in it." Sichem also said to her father and to her brothers, "Let me find favor in your sight, and whatever you say we will give. Make the dowry ever so great, I will give whatever you tell me. So you give me this damsel for a wife." But the sons of Jacob answered Sichem and Emor his father deceitfully, and because their sister had been defiled, Simeon and Levi, the brothers of Dinah, spoke to them and said, "We cannot do this thing to give our sister to a man who is uncircumcised, for that with us is a reproach. On this condition only will we coalesce with you and dwell with you. If you become like us, by every male of you being circumcised, then we will give you our daughters and take your daughters for wives and dwell among you and be as one race. But if you will not hearken to us to be circumcised, we will take our daughter and depart." And the proposal pleased Emor and Sichem, the son of Emor. And the young man made no delay to carry this into execution, for he was passionately fond of Jacob's daughter. Now he was the most honorable of all of his father's family. So Emor and his son Sichem went to the gate of their city and spoke to the men of their city, saying, These are peaceable men. Let them dwell with us in the land and use it for the purpose of trade. Behold, the land before them is spacious. Let us take their daughters for our wives and give them our daughters. Only on this occasion will these men dwell with us, so as to be one people, that every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised. Will not their cattle and four-footed beasts and all their substance become ours? Let us only be like them in this, and they will dwell with us. Accordingly, all who went in at the gate of their city hearkened to Emor and his son Sichem, and were every male of them circumcised. And on the third day, when they were in pain, the two sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, the brothers of Dinah, took each his sword and entered the city without danger and slew every male. They slew both Emor and Sichem and his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Sichem's house and went away. And the sons of Jacob came upon the slain and rifled the city in which their sister Dinah had been defiled, and took their flocks and their herds and their asses, both all that was in the city and all that was in the field, and took captive all their servants and all their children and their wives, and plundered what was in the city and what was in the houses. Thereupon Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, I don't know who that is. Sorry. Thereupon Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, You have made me an object of hatred, so as to be deemed a mortal enemy to all the inhabitants of the land, both to the Canaanites and the Perizzites. Now, as I am few in number, they will assemble against me and fall upon me, and I and my house shall be utterly destroyed. And they said, But shall they treat our sister like a harlot? Yeah, they were mad. Okay, I have an appointment, a phone appointment at 4:00. That could have been it, but I declined to answer. So I've got to end that there. Next time we'll pick up in chapter 35. Brothers and sisters, keep your eyes on Jesus and your nose in the book, which is the Word of God. I'm going to figure out how to turn off these comments, because there's just no sense in this kind of foolishness happening. I don't appreciate it, and I don't believe you guys can see it. I pray to God you guys can't see it. I don't think you can see it, but anyway, it's just nastiness. This is twice now reading I have encountered filth, and I don't even know why. This never happened before, so I'm going to try to figure out how to disable comments on live. All right, I love you all so very much. Make sure that we embed the Word of God upon the tablets of our hearts, so we will not sin against God or be deceived. Be blessed.